I shot a moose once. I didn't mean to break it to you that way. I shot a moose. Was hunting upstate New York in the woods. I tied the moose onto the fender of my car, and I drove back home. But I didn't realize that the bullet had not penetrated the moose, but had just creased its scalp, knocking it unconscious. I'm driving home along the highway, and I'm going through a tunnel. The moose woke up. So I'm driving with a live moose on my fender. The moose is signaling for a turn. And there's a law in New York State against driving with a conscious moose Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. All right, I don't know what to do. I'm panicking. I realize some friends of mine are having a costume party. I'll go with the moose. I'll ditch him at the party. It wouldn't be my responsibility. So I drive to the party. I go up to the front door. The moose is next to me. I knock on the front door. The host comes to the door. I say, hello. You know the Solomons. We go in. The moose starts to mingle. Goes to the buffet table. Some guy tries to sell him insurance. The moose is doing great, meanwhile, you know. He scored. 12 o'clock comes. They judge who's got the best costume of the night. First prize goes to the Berkowitzes. A married couple dressed in a moose suit. The moose comes in second. The moose is furious. He and the Berkowitzes lock antlers in the living room. They knock each other unconscious. Now I figure I'll get rid of them for good. I pile them on the fender and speed up to the woods. But I got the Berkowitzes. I'm driving along with two Jewish people on my fender. And there's a law in New York State. The next morning, the Berkowitzes wake up in the woods in a moose suit. Mr. Berkowitz is shot, stuffed, and mounted at the New York City Golf Club. And the joke is on them because they don't allow Jews.
And the phone rings, and I answer it, and a voice on the other end says, "How would you like to be this year's vodka man?" And I said, "No. I'm an artist. I do not do commercials. I will not pander. I don't drink vodka. And if I did, I wouldn't drink your product." And he said, "Too bad. It pays $50,000. And I said, "Hold on. I'll put Mr. Allen on the phone." And I was caught here in an ethical crisis. And, should I advertise a product that I don't actually use is the problem. Because I am not a drinker. My body will not tolerate spirits of any sort. I had 2 martinis New Year's Eve, and I tried to hijack an elevator and fly it to Cuba. And in the past, whenever I had any sort of crisis at all, I used to consult with my analyst. This is public knowledge. I was in analysis for years because I've emotional problems that I had. I suffered from the delusion that I was short and thin. And I was in a strict Freudian analysis for a long time. And my analyst died 2 years ago, and I never realized it, And now, whenever I have any sort of upset, I always consult with my spiritual counselor, who in my case is my rabbi. And I called him up on the phone, And I laid the proposition on him. And he said, don't do it, because it's illegal and immoral and unethical to advertise a product you don't actually use for the money. And I said, okay, and I passed up the ad. And I must say it took great courage, because I needed the money. I was writing at that time. I needed to be freed creatively. I was working on a non-fiction version of the Warren Report. I just passed the ad up. I was really cavalier. And a month later, I'm leafing through Life magazine. I see a photograph of Monique Van Vuren in a slim bikini bathing suit. And she's on the beach in Jamaica. And there, next to her, with a cool vodka in his hand, is my rabbi.
Who was the first movie star that you met? Can you remember?
Yes. I met Trigger, who was Roy Rogers' horse, at a party. Actually, I picked him up at a party. And we had an ongoing relationship for 2 years after that. So I'm very proud of.
Did you ever meet Roy Rogers at that time?
No, I have no interest in meeting Roy Rogers. But I loved living with his horse.
But what about the smell?
He didn't mind that so much.
Do you go to the cinema very much yourself?
No.
Well, in that case, have you a favourite film?
Yes, many.
Can you give us one of them?
Yes, but none that I've seen.
Are you liable to do any more television spectaculars?
No, not likely. I've sworn off television.
Why is that?
Because it brings me into too many homes. And I have trouble getting out of some of them.
Do you prefer working on location or in a studio?
I like to work on sets. Everything in all my movies have been all filmed on sets.
Even Bananas?
Yes. We rebuilt Puerto Rico in a studio in New York.
Is that wouldn't that be more expensive than actually going to Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico, it was not so expensive building Puerto Rico, but constructing the Puerto Ricans was a fortune.
You used an actual prison in that instance?
We used actual prisoners, but not an actual prison. That was a fake prison, but real convicts. Those are actual murderers, which we get from casting. But the prison itself was a set.
And do you employ professional people to work on your pictures?
No, but not amateurs either.
Who then?
You know, different ones.
And you must take my word for this. There is something seductive about me when I shoot crap. I'm at the gaming table, and I'm dicing, and a very provocative woman comes up to me. She begins to size me up. And I take her up to my room for a drink. And I shut the door. And I remove my glasses. Show her no mercy. I unbutton my shirt. And she unbuttons her shirt. And I smile. And she smiles. And I remove my jacket. And she removes her jacket. And I wink. And she winks. And I roll up my sleeves. And she rolls up her sleeves. And I realize I'm looking into a mirror. I don't want to go into details, but I was pulling glass out of my legs for 2 weeks.
I shot a moose once. I didn't mean to break it to you that way. I shot a moose. Was hunting upstate New York in the woods. I tied the moose onto the fender of my car, and I drove back home. But I didn't realize that the bullet had not penetrated the moose, but had just creased its scalp, knocking it unconscious. I'm driving home along the highway. And I'm going through a tunnel. The moose woke up. So I'm driving with a live moose on my fender. The moose is signaling for a turn. And there's a law in New York State against driving with a conscious moose Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. All right, I don't know what to do. I'm panicky. I realize some friends of mine are having a costume party. I'll go with the moose. I'll ditch him at the party. It wouldn't be my responsibility. So I drive to the party. I go up to the front door. The moose is next to me. I knock on the front door. The host comes to the door. I say, hello. You know the Solomons.